How are you?
Doing all right. How are you, Sharunian?
I'm doing pretty good right now. Like right now, I'm actually using a public Wi-Fi. I'm at a recreational center. So if you experience any like interruptions, my apologies. But yeah, it's wonderful to meet you. So yeah, so I have a lot to talk about. I was gonna ask you what's your thoughts on Don Lemon getting arrested. He got arrested today.
Yeah, I just caught that, and I know that he was involved. He was acting as a journalist during the protesters storming in on a worship service, which I thought was in incredibly bad taste. But if he's there as a journalist covering a news event, I honestly don't think he's not the one directing the protesters storm into a church. Now, if they find out, if they have evidence that he created the disturbance, it's his idea that he was directing the protesters, hey, go into that church. Well, that's a different matter. But we'll have to wait and see what the details on it are.
Yeah, the thing is, I was actually a bit surprised. I don't think he should have been arrested, even though he was one of the people to participate in the ICE protest and everything. I don't think he should have been arrested. It's crazy. In America, there's a lot of problem when it pertains to ICE. By the way, just to let you know, I'm Canadian as well. I live in southern Ontario. I live in the Brampton area.
Okay.
Yeah,
I have been there.
yeah. It's not bad. It's actually a very nice place. Around, so like, you know,
Oh, okay.
yeah,
I
yeah.
am having a little trouble hearing you.
I'm sorry about that. I'm doing my best to sound as loud as possible.
Okay.
You know. Yeah, but it's very great, because like I have a lot to talk about, because I was waiting all these years to talk with you, but now the chance has actually finally arisen, and it's very good. The first time I was subscribed to your channel was like 5 or 6 years ago. I think it was like around 2019 or something. That's when I first like subscribed to your channel and started watching you. And after COVID and everything, that's when you started to get some attention from people and started making more videos pertaining to certain topics.
Well, I started putting out video. I My main videos started going up in 2020, and
Yeah.
I was at that just looking at the all the planes coming into Toronto, hundreds of planes every day from all around the world, and yet
Yeah.
we were being told deadly coronavirus was going to kill us all, and we had to shelter in place. Meanwhile, planes from Beijing, from all over Europe, from Shanghai, from Italy, from everywhere in the world. And it was COVID drove me crazy because I've never lived through a period where so much obvious propaganda, and I believe how
Yeah.
well it worked on the broader population.
Yeah. It's crazy because I still think people can catch COVID this time, but like I don't really see it as a big deal because like now it's not like lockdown. It's none of that. I think the media try to like make it seem as a big deal globally, like when it comes to the human organizations and everything. The world whole
Well,
world organizations. Yeah.
ultimately, the way I look at it, I mean, just media, it was government, it was media, it was the corporate sector, it was the pharmaceutical industry. They were all pushing in that if
Yeah.
you get this bug, you'll be struggling to breathe and you're going to get hooked up to a ventilator and you're probably going to die. And all that messaging was geared toward manufacturing compliance to get people to roll the sleeve for a medical intervention that a lot of people did not want, but the propaganda worked so well, were convinced that the world would never return back to any semblance of normal unless everyone rolled up their sleeves and got the shot. And so it got Canadians hating on Canadians, Americans hating on Canadians, everyone hating. And we're
I
not
think the hatred.
to hate.
I think I think the hatred came from the Chinese because like they're the ones that originally started it, but like, a lot of people got frustrated with it, and the thing was like, it was like airborne, and I felt like America had more cases than China, which is a bit surprising, but I don't think the data for China was accurate. I think it was all like inconsistent because China has over 1 billion people and America has like what, over 300 million. So like, I don't think America had more cases. I think China had the most, but like, they lied about data and everything.
Well,
Yeah.
when it comes started in China, that lab in Wuhan, China,
Yeah.
working on gain of function research, or they call it directed evolution. It was working in tandem with other labs all around the world, and possibly even our
Yeah.
own national bio lab in Winnipeg, Manitoba.
Hmm.
And I don't. This was a global stock, is what it boils down to. It was a psychological operation to scare the living bejeebers out of everyone in the population. And it was there was an experimental of it. They wanted to see how far they could push us, and they found out they can push us very far. They can get us wearing a mask while we're sitting up, and then taking it off when we're sitting down, getting us following
Yeah.
instructions on grocery store aisles.
I didn't really wear. I was, but it was people's choice, like to wear it or not. But the thing I noticed about it is that like those who are like naturally like healthy, they'll survive it. But those like who are that are immune to certain illness, they're the ones that get the virus and everything. But I never caught the virus at all, like not once. And
I did
it's
get it.
yeah.
I got it in February of 2022, and fairly certain it was COVID
Hmm.
because all classic symptoms, low grade headache, dry nose, productive cough, slight fever, aches and joints and muscles. And then at that time in 2022, they were saying that conjunctivitis, otherwise known as, was common. After a COVID infection, it was common to get pink eye. And immediately after recovering 2-day nothing burger, COVID, but then immediately after I got pink eye. And so I said, okay, it was probably COVID, but I never tested. I never got, I never did a rapid test, never did a PCR.
Yeah, that's the thing. I didn't even bother. But the thing is, like, I feel like a lot of what's going on. Donald Trump likes to control what's happening. He likes to take like he has power over, and I think he's not the right candidate. I'm not really a big Trump supporter. I'm not a liberal and I'm not a conservative. I don't really pander to politics. I'm not like either one. I think that both people of both sides have fallacies and they have like problems. Like that's why I try to like stay away when it pertains to certain political discussions, because like you try not to offend anyone. I think everyone has a right to their own merit. Yeah.
You're, you are a Canadian.
Yeah.
That's very much the Canadian attitude is we don't like to offend. We're very quick to say sorry. We don't.
Yeah, it's true. It is
And
true.
Donald Trump is uh, a unique politician. We've never had a politician like him in the world before. Canada, not in the United States. Someone who is brash. He's he's got flaws that you can drive a truck through. He has to win. He is uber competitive. He has to win at everything. No one can have the spotlight. He's in the room. He wants every eye on him. And if you start looking at someone else, he gets annoyed. His vanity is his ego gets bruised. That's why he always says, "I tell you, nobody knows more about women's issues than me." Okay, I know women's issues better than anyone. I know military. Okay, I know military. Nobody know. I'm really good at military because I understand it. I'm so smart, smarter than everyone, and he's got a very fragile ego, and
Yeah, it's
but
true.
he is our president. He is the president of the United States of America. They chose him. They have the right to choose who they want. And they chose a president who campaigned on imposing tariffs to promote American industry. That's what Americans voted for. And it bothers me the degree to which Canadians are all worried about Donald Trump. If he wants to put tariffs on Canadian and foreign steel in order to revitalize and rest the American steel industry, go for it. It's your
Yeah.
country. We're not
Yeah.
the 51st state.
And the thing is, I feel like a lot of Canadians are concerned more about American news and what's happening in America than what's happening in Canada. And I feel like Americans, they don't give a shit about what's happening in Canada.
Very true.
And but the thing is, I like Mark Carney personally. I think he's a great, prime minister. I think he's like, doing a better job than Trudeau. I personally think he's more of a conservative, like he is, but and the embassy and everything.
Well, there's a long standing saying in Canada.
Yeah.
It goes, how old are you, Sharunian?
I'm a young guy. I'm 26 right now, but
Okay.
yeah.
Anyway, back 40, 50 years, it's always been said that the liberals campaign like the NDP, but they govern like the conservatives.
Yeah.
And there's an element of that with Carney because the major thing that he has done so far, and it is a positive, is he got rid of the consumer carbon tax. And that was the main of the Conservative Party. Axe the tax. We're going to eliminate the carbon tax. And so even before the election was called, the first, if not the first thing, one of the first things Mark Carney did was to eliminate the consumer carbon tax. And our gas prices went from a buck 40 in around a buck 40, and they dropped down to $1.15. And everyone said, yay, Mark Carney was doing what the conservatives had been campaigning for the last 2, 3 years. Go ahead.
And and the thing is, I feel like we need more people like him because like Justin Trudeau, he brought like a packed load of India, Pakistan, Philippines. Like he brought so many, like more than like a million, like close to 3 million for the past 3 years. And like Mark Carney, he's only bringing like a very little, like a lot of Canadian population and everything. Right now, it's like at 40 million.
Are you saying something?
Yeah, yeah. I said the Canadian population is at 40 million, but like Carney has reduced some immigration. Like of immigrants entering Canada.
Well, a lot of the problems that we're experiencing in Canada, like housing, why is housing so hard to find? Why is it so expensive? Is because we've had mass immigration. We need immigration in this country, but the levels are
It's
simply
true.
too high. And the infrastructure, like housing, isn't there to support the population they've been letting in. And so Carney had the thing that people have got to realize is that Mark Carney was the economic advisor to Justin Trudeau starting in 2020.
Yeah.
So why wasn't Mark Carney telling now was Carney telling Trudeau, hey, you want to, we don't have the infrastructure and we don't have the housing to support the levels of immigration we're bringing in? Did he tell him that and Trudeau shut him down? Or I don't know. But
Yeah.
he was the top economic advisor to the Justin Trudeau Liberal Party. And he came in, he decided to make a little drop in on Canada to see if he could win leadership. And it was a coronation. There was no one else was ever in. It was going to be
Yeah. And
Carney every day of the week.
now
And
that Trudeau, yeah.
here's a guy who had left 2008, 2009, has an apartment in Central, or a condo rather, in Central Park, has been interviewed at the World Economic Forum and had referred to himself as a European, as he holds both a British and an Irish passport.
Yes.
If he had not won the election, I promise you, Mark would have been gone back to Europe. He would have gone
Most
down to New
definitely.
York. I don't think his ties to this country are very deep at all. He's educated overseas or in the US. He went to Harvard, went to Cambridge. You know, he didn't stay in little backwater Canada. And I find Canadians have this attitude. Need a lot of Canadians need to have acceptance from from the Americans. Successful actor, singer, unless you make it in the US. If you stay in Canada, well, then you're second rate. Polyev stayed in Canada. He went to the University of Calgary. Oh, he's a nobody. You got to go to Harvard. You have to go to Cambridge. You have to get from the Europeans, from the Americans. We Canadians have an inferiority complex, I find.
Yeah.
We don't think that our educational institutions are good enough.
Yeah. And the now is that um, Mark Carney, he actually worked for Bank of England for like prime ministers and everything, and like he was top notch and everything. So like he's the perfect candidate. But
What Mark Carney, back during the great financial crisis,
yeah,
uh, what happened is in the United States, they engaged in something called subprime lending. And what it meant
yeah,
was this: individuals who did not have a high credit score to get a mortgage, what they did is they lowered the standard and lowered the interest rate and allowed them to borrow. And it inflated the the real estate market in the US, and it was a house of cards waiting to come tumbling down. And what happened was people would buy a house for 100,000. They'd have a $90,000 mortgage, and then because they now are a homeowner, they get a credit card, they get a line of credit, and before you know it, they're 150 grand in debt, 90 on the mortgage, 60 in other credit facilities, and they can't meet. And they go to the bank and they say, "We got to give up our house. We can't meet the payments." And the bank says, "The house that you bought for 100,000 is now worth 250. going to remortgage you. We're going to pay off your line of credit. We're going to pay off your credit cards. Only thing is now your $90,000 mortgage is $150,000 mortgage. And they went, great. My credit card's paid off. To Cancun. I'm buying a new car. And the cycle just kept going. As long as the real estate market kept climbing, it was fine. Then eventually the real estate market collapsed. And a bunch of bad mortgages that were underwater. People were never going to pay back. The banks had loaned out all this money and disappeared. And along came Mark Carney and the other central banks. And what they said is, we'll print more money. You, the government, issue bonds and we'll print more money. They called it quantitative easing. And that rescued, that kept Canada afloat. That kept us. It, we went in, even though Mark Carney lied and said that Canada never went into a recession. Meanwhile, he's addressing Parliament, telling them Canada's now in a recession. Back when it happened, he acknowledged Canada was in a recession. When he campaigned, though, he lied and Canada avoided a recession.
You know, the funny thing is, like, Justin Trudeau, like, when he was the prime minister, everything was expensive in Canada, like, from, like, groceries to gas, like, going out. But now that Carney's a prime minister, everything is back in control. Like, everything is back to what it was before, and, like, it's somewhat cheaper. And the funny thing is, Justin Trudeau's with Katy Perry now. He's in a relationship. I think they may marry eventually. Because I can see it happening. Because, like, you know, she, both of them are
Justin
very rich.
Trudeau, the word is a dilettante. He's a poser. He's look at me. He's a pretty boy. Look at me, aren't I special? You know, son of a prime minister. He 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 just likes. He uses
Yeah.
great sounding words. Talks a good game, but he doesn't back. He never backed it up. He's yesterday's news now because he's out of the. He's not prime minister of Canada anymore. He's gone.
Yeah. I was happy when he left. I never
I
liked him,
mean,
to be
he
honest. I
can date
thought,
whoever he wants.
yeah. I don't know what Katy Perry sees in him. Like, I think she's a great, like, singer, but, like, I don't know what was going through, Like, I know she's dating him because, like, he was a prime minister of a country, and, like, but the thing I want to say, he, and he did blackface at one point, and no one really said anything about it. Back then they don't call him a racist, but, like, they always try to paint this narrative that he's a nice guy. I think he's just a fake and phony guy that's pretending to.
Uh, Justin Trudeau was carrying the ball. Trudeau was very much installed. If they wanted to take him down, if they wanted him out, it would have been so easy. No other politician could have survived the blackface incidents you mentioned.
Yeah.
No, the I've said it on my own channel that the media is there to program you. They're going to tell you what to believe, what to think, and how to feel.
Yeah.
And the media did not want they would report on Justin Trudeau's blackface, but they wouldn't give it the and the language and the coverage needed to take Trudeau down. They could have. They know how to package the news. They know how to propagandize. They know how to manipulate a good chunk of the Canadian voting population. They
Yeah.
Justin
The thing
Trudeau
is, he's
did nothing in of himself. He accomplished zero. He was a drama teacher part time. The reason that school hired him was they wanted to have Justin Trudeau's name on their letterhead for fundraising. Justin Trudeau, eldest son of former Prime Minister Pierre Elliott Trudeau. And
yeah.
send your kid to our school, give us an extra 5 grand. That was teaching there. Before that, he was a ski instructor and I mean, he accomplished nothing in his. The only reason he became prime minister is because his last name was Trudeau. If he'd
That's
been,
it.
if his last name had been your last name, no way, or
Exactly.
mine.
Yeah. The thing is, like, um, he's, you know, he was a boxer too. You know, I heard that like he can't box. You know, some guy I met at the gym once claimed that he fought Justin Trudeau in a boxing match and he beat him.
Patrick Brazeau was a conservative senator,
Yeah.
and Trudeau put out a challenge to have a charity boxing event. And this was when he was running for the Liberal leadership. And I'm here to tell you right now that was
Yeah.
fixed. Patrick Brazeau, that was a staged event. Rebel News was there. You know, this is like watching pro wrestling. You know how kids watch pro wrestling and they see I don't follow it, but back, when it was Hulk Hogan, they go, did you see what the Iron Sheik did, Hogan? He was cheating. And they believe that it's real. That boxing match between Justin and Patrick Brazeau was theater. Patrick Brazeau took a dive in order to make Trudeau seem like, to build him up and give him a bigger public image and create this impression that he's a fighter and a winner. And it worked.
Yeah. And the thing is, like, I feel like now that he's not a prime minister, a lot of great thing has happened to our economy, and like, like, basically keep everything in order. I think hopefully he be a prime minister for at least another 4 to 6 years. After that, I think he'll, most likely still be here. But I don't know. I never even knew who Mark Carney was before he even was a prime minister. I just heard of him after he was like elected.
Well, I did. He was governor of the Bank of Canada.
Yeah.
Then he became governor of the Bank of England.
Yeah.
They hated Great Britain because their economy was destroyed. And right now, in the short term, what Carney is doing is borrowing money. And so he's popular because it's like, think of it this way, Sharunian. You're
Yeah.
married, 4 kids, and you don't have enough money in the bank to take a vacation, but you have a credit and you go, you know what? We're gonna, I'm gonna borrow the money. I'm gonna borrow the money. We're going to Disneyland. We're going to we're going to we're going to Hawaii, whatever. And you spend the money, but you don't have it.
Yeah.
Now you have to start paying interest. And because you're paying interest on it, have to tell your kid when hockey season comes around in 7, 8 months, I'm sorry, I can't afford hockey. The interest payments on the credit card are too high. Sorry, we can't afford this program, that program. And right now, Carney is got our deficit up, I forget how high, 80 billion, 70. He's just borrowing money. Today's borrowing is tomorrow's taxation. There's a reason why half the money you earn go to various levels of taxation, provincial taxes, federal taxes, municipal taxes, excise taxes, consumption taxes on gasoline, GST, HST. Get tax, tax, tax. And it's because we are running as a nation on borrowed money for so long. And Mark Carney has basically said, we're going to keep doing it. We're going to do more because it may, in the short term, it works. In the short term, it
If
works. Hey, look, everything's going okay now. I'm on vacation. I'm in Florida. What's going to happen in a year?
he, the thing is, if he keeps borrowing money, he's gonna leave Canada in debt. He's gonna leave Canada in debt to the point that, like, we're gonna be broke and we're gonna not have enough money as a society. But like, the thing I noticed about Carney is that, like, he's actually good at what he does, but like he's not like Trudeau. When it comes to being a fake person, he actually shows his true identity and everything. Gordon, are you there?
Yeah, I'm here.
Oh, okay, okay. I'm like,
You're
I
very
almost thought,
faint. Your microphone is very faint.
huh?
So I'm holding it up to my ear a little.
Yeah, yeah. I'm sorry. I can't control the setting. Like, I'm in a public place right now, and like, there's people around me. So like, that's something I can't control. But I really like talking to you. I never thought this would come, but the opportunity actually has arisen. And it's great. Because I think that it's great to have discussions like this, because we're both concerned Canadians. We care about our family, we care about our future, we want to see what's happening in the economy. You heard of Anthony Albanese?
I'm not familiar with that name.
He's the Australian Prime Minister currently.
Okay. I
Yeah,
should know
I
that.
feel like yeah, I feel like Canada country, or they don't even bring that many international students.
Enough about Australian politics to comment on it.
Yeah, yeah. But it's
I'd
good.
have to do some reading up. I didn't even know the prime minister's name. So
Yeah. You know, what else was I gonna say? I was gonna say this, like, you have to be who you are. There's one politician I like. I don't know if you heard of his name. His name is Gary Anand Sagari. He's a Sri Lankan Tamil guy.
okay,
Yeah.
I I don't know him.
Gary Anand Sagari.
Sounds
Yeah.
like a Tamil name.
Yeah. Gordon, you can obviously tell by looking at me that I'm Tamil.
Actually, I couldn't be. I knew. I guess I would have guessed Indian or Sri Lankan.
Not Sri Indian.
And with a name like Sharu, should be clear. And your
Yeah.
last name in the email. But honestly, I don't care.
Yeah. Yeah, me too. I don't really care what you are, as long as if you're a good person and you have a great character.
Yeah, I mean, all I know in Tamil is Vanakkam, Okadavale, and Okadavale is not a nice thing.
Karuva? Basically that means dark.
Yeah, I know. Uh,
Yeah. Yeah, I know. I know. Here might get a lot at home, so like it comes to I automatically can speak it. But English is my first language. I was born and raised in Canada, so obviously
I
I'm.
because of my wife, I know a few choice words.
Yeah. Yeah, you'll learn it. It's not hard to learn. It's similar to Malayalam. Malayalam and Tamil are like very similar. When a Malayalam person speaks, I can understand what they are saying. But when I hear a person speak Tamil, I can understand it a mile away. You know?
Pick it out now too.
Yeah. You know what? The thing is, like, one thing I have to say is, like, I started to see a lot of changes in Canada over the recent years. I feel like now you're starting to see what it is. I feel like a lot has changed over the years since Justin Trudeau has been out. It's not even been a year. He resigned in what, like 2025 or something?
Since what?
2025.
Well, what are we talking about? The election?
Yeah, like him, like resigning as a prime minister.
Yeah, it was about a year ago.
Yeah. So like, it's actually good news.
He
I just
resigned in January or early February of 2025. They called an immediate leadership race for March. Mark Carney coronated. If Chrystia Freeland had won, the Liberals would have been decimated. They would
yeah,
have out. They would have elected 10 or less
yeah,
members.
yeah,
And that's the thing that conservatives have made a mistake on. They think that Pierre Poilievre lost a big lead in the polls. What they didn't realize, a lot of Canadian conservatives don't realize, is that people weren't voting for Poilievre when he was winning by election after by election after election. They were voting against Trudeau. They wasn't. It's not that I like Poilievre. It's just that I cannot stand Trudeau. And as soon as the Liberals gave them a more palatable choice in Mark Carney, Bank of Canada, Bank of England, advisor to the UN on climate change and the Sustainable Development Goals. Oh, the world likes Mark Carney. So he's got to be
yeah,
good because we need someone who Americans and Europeans recognize. We can't have just a boring little Canadian guy.
yeah. Yeah, and Gordon, I also want to talk to you about something. This is going to be a bit of a different topic, but
Go for it.
I remember a year ago, I mentioned to you about a black man on social media by the name of Jay Morrison. He's like a self-proclaimed realtor, even though he is not licensed or anything, and like he started you know. Crowd fund, like the
Yes.
Tulsa real estate, and then basically after like a couple of years, when all the donors lost their money, like people started turning their back against him. I'm not gonna say it's his fault, like he's doing what he's doing. He even, like, they should have read their prospectus. Like if they're gonna call it a scam, they basically scam themselves. You shouldn't fall for something without reading it. You shouldn't be so misguided,
Well,
right?
I've seen examples of this in various communities. I've seen it in the Tamil community. I've seen it amongst Filipinos. I've seen it amongst Jamaicans. And there's a tendency to want to help out or to involve with someone from your own ethnic community. And
Yeah,
so someone will start, I'm going to start a real estate investment fund, and everyone starts pouring in money. And you made the point. Read the prospectus. You have to be very careful. You should only be investing money that you can afford to lose. If you've got 10 grand to hand over to someone and it doesn't matter to you at all, if I get a return on it, great. And if it all goes away, oh well, it's not going to impact my standard of living. And people get so darn greedy and really. It's a funny thing because I buy a house and I spend $1 million on it. And then a year later, I tell investors that the house is now worth 1.2 million.
Yeah.
It's you don't know what it's worth. Someone pays for it. I can stick whatever value I want on it.
Yeah.
You know, unless someone's willing to pay it, I can tell you right now that I'm in my house worth $2.5 million. If someone will pay
Yeah.
me that money, then that's what it's worth. Will only give me 700,000, 800,000, then that's all it's worth.
Yeah, Gordon. I always wondered, what city are you from?
A
What city? Yeah. Like, where do you live currently and in your past?
Oh my gosh. I was born in Port Colborne, Ontario,
Yeah.
small little town near Niagara Falls.
Yeah.
6 months of age, I moved to New York.
Hmm.
We were in New York until I was 3. We came back to Etobicoke and lived in Etobicoke for 8, 9 months, and then we moved to New Jersey.
Yeah.
I was in New Jersey for kindergarten, grade 1, 2, 3, and I was in grade 4. We moved to Burlington, Ontario. I finished grade 4, did all 5 in Burlington. Then we moved to Portland, Oregon on the West
Oh
Coast.
wow. That's so
And we
far.
stayed in Portland, Oregon for 1 year.
Yeah.
And then from Portland, Oregon, we moved to Pickering, Ontario in 1978 when I was 12.
Yeah.
And from forward, I have been in Canada ever since, full time resident. Pickering until I was in my. Then I got an apartment in downtown Toronto, East End, Pape and Danforth. Um, from there, I went up to North Bay for a year, then back to Toronto, Thorncliffe Park Drive, then to Ajax, then to Whitby, then back to Pickering. Then I was in Saint Jean sur Richelieu, Quebec, for 4 or 5 months. That's near Montreal.
Yeah.
Then in Kingston for a year. Then in Quebec for 2011 to 2015. Then in 2015, do you know where Belleville is?
Yeah, I heard of it. Yeah.
Well, if you go to Oshawa and you drive east toward Montreal or Kingston, or after Oshawa, you're in my area, which is Northumberland County, Ontario. So where am I from? All over.
Me, I lived in Brampton pretty much all my life. No, I was born and raised in Brampton.
Yep.
And then when I was like 1 years old, we went to the UK. My dad lived in the UK for like 18 years. And then he came to Canada. And then in 1995, he married my mother in Canada. So he lived in Canada and then he went back to UK. And then they came to Canada. And then I lived in Canada pretty much all my life, you know.
Yep.
Since, so when I was 3 years old, we came back to Canada. And then since then, we've been living here. Yeah.
Well, you'd have a
Thing,
British
I
accent
don't
otherwise.
I don't have a British accent.
No, you don't. You
if I
don't. Okay.
yeah, but the thing is, like, if I lived in UK, I don't know how things would revolve around there, but I most certainly would, like, live around Harrow. That's where my father lived in Harrow. We lived in Harrow in UK when I was like, when we, when like they were young, but like now that things have changed, we lived in Brampton. But yeah, I'm a Canadian by birth and citizenship. I this is my only place. If I get in trouble with the law, I most likely go to prison. I won't get deported or anything.
There's nowhere you can be deported to.
Yeah, I'm in prison if I do something serious.
Well, the bottom line is that everyone living in Canada, unless you're First Nations, unless you're indigenous, of indigenous heritage. Every one of us. I mean, my background is English, Irish, Scottish, Welsh.
Yeah.
When I hear
What about Polish?
no, not that
Oh.
I know.
Yeah.
And when I hear race talk about they should go back to where they came from, I'm like, what are you going to do to me? Chop them into four parts and send part to England, part to Ireland, Scotland, part to Wales? Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, that argument is
It's
so.
all a question of much.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah. Canada, I
immigration
feel
is
like.
a good thing, but you can have too much of a good thing.
I,
Shot
I, yeah. So wait, you're from East Cumberland, right?
no Northumberland,
Cumberland, or as in
North
CUM?
Northumberland.
Cumberland. Oh, okay. So, yeah, maybe one day I'll try to see if we can meet up, in person and get to know each other more in a personal. I feel like this is a great opportunity because, I know you probably pictured me as a different guy before you even got to meet me. Because usually I'm in the keyboard in the chat typing, and but now
Yep.
you actually get to see my face and identity.
Yes. Oh no, it's nice. The problem I had was when we first started, my names, and you'd write. I would Sharunian sounds to me to it sounds feminine.
Oh, okay.
Like a Sharon, Sharunian, and so I had a mental image of a woman. But then look at the Tamil language. The word for uncle is ma.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, we like
Every,
we're
every
I'm also
everyone calls me Gordon Mama, or yeah,
yeah.
Gordon Mama.
Oh, yeah. Like the thing is, like in our culture, where I'm also Hindu too, so I'm a Tamil Hindu. We believe, who's like Ganesh God,
Get
you know,
up,
and then Krishna and Morgan,
Shiva.
Lakshmi, all
Don't know
those.
Buckschmied.
Yeah, Lakshmi is the female goddess.
Okay.
Yeah, and so like we believe. Friday, like around 7:30 to like 10, we go to the temple in Mississauga. We pray there, and like we go there every
I
week on
have been
Friday.
to a Hindu wedding.
Yeah, Hindus are good. I'd say like in terms of culture, they're very more open. When I go to, I've tried to go to I've tried to go to a Gurdwara. Like I've tried to go to a Sikh, like place, like where they pray, the Gurdwara. There, and then one of the guys is like, "No, you can't be here. You have to leave." They said there's a wedding or something, and that was such a very rude thing to do. To kick someone out. Just because they're of a different religion. I felt like I was discriminated against. Like that's such a rude thing to do.
I have known a number of. I know that the those of that faith they call it the Sikh faith. They don't say
Yeah,
Sikh. It's
yeah,
Sikh
Sikhi.
in
Yeah.
Punjabi.
Well, it sounds like they're
I've known.
saying they're sick.
Yeah,
It
yeah.
sounds like they're saying they're sick people.
I
If you
don't
know
think
what I
so.
mean.
I've known a number of, I'll say, Sikh turban wearing, and I've never had. I've and I've actually thought the fact that because they wear the turban, they're advertising their faith to the entire world.
Yeah.
They're ambassadors. That anyway,
Yeah,
Sharunian,
but
I have to up. I'm gonna
okay,
have to end now. But listen, let's set this up again, and you
yeah,
come on my channel.
okay.
All
I'll
right,
try to do that if you. Yeah,
and we'll try and get a
thank you.
time where the sound quality can be better.
Yeah, I felt like today I'm lagging a bit. It's not really like something I could control because right now my parents speak at home, and there's noise, so like
Yeah, it's
I
hard.
thought that doing it here would be better, but next time I might do it at the library or somewhere, because I
Uh,
noticed that like I'm creating a noise. But Gordon, it's very nice to meet you. I never thought I'd get the chance to actually speak with you. Because usually
no,
you're live streaming with the only person I've seen live stream with was Underground Nations, Danny, and
well,
people. I've do live songs, and you do things pertaining to certain topics. But the thing I have to say is like, what made you start YouTube? Like, why you enjoy doing it?
well, I knew a guy. I got to know a guy through Facebook during named Mark,
Yeah, yeah,
and Mark had a podcast and asked me to be a guest host. And we started interviewing. We interviewed Dr. Robert Malone. We interviewed celebrities, minor celebrities. NYPD Blue has an actor or had an actor named Gordon Clapp, and we interviewed
yeah.
him. If you ever saw the movie Uncle Buck, we interviewed the guy who played Bug, Lydia's boyfriend, Jay Underwood. We interviewed
Yeah.
a Canadian actor who'd been on Cheers and Golden Girls,
Sorry.
a bunch of shows. And I interviewed Cameron Arnett on Miami Vice, Star Trek Next Generation, and they made a number of Christian movies and
Yeah.
a lot of, and I enjoyed it. I enjoyed the format. And so when that kind of faded out, I went, I'm going to doing it on my own.
The thing was, right now, I just try to go to the library, and the librarian's like, no, you can't come in here, you have to leave. It's like
Oh,
some people, that's the one thing I hate is that, like, some people, they're rude and they just don't see it. And, like, I'm not saying it's a good thing to do, but you can't just, like, do that. Like, you have to understand how to be, uh, a certain way. You can't just, tell someone to
and
leave,
Sharunian,
Yeah.
I've got to get going.
Yeah, I'll see you around.
We'll talk again by email and we'll have you come on my channel. Okay.
Yeah. All right. Bye.
Bye now.
See you.